like to make it look juicy for her.
Come over here with the hit that like podcast. Now let's get into this shit.
Mr. Demon's lies, those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with two dead bodies, a car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, gunpowder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket. Not Cortland Henry. There were 3 phones in that car. There were 3 people in that car.
And this is not just in music videos. This is not just in lyrics. Because we're not going to get into that. That's artistic expression. That's not why we are here today. We are here because the defendant murdered 2 individuals. So in summary, the last thing I want to tell you that the evidence will show is that in the Instagram, because the defendant had a moderate social media following at the time of these events, people are reaching out to him. Some fans, some friends, some associates. You'll see on October 26th, after about 8 a.m. in the morning, Eastern time, multiple messages are coming in. Messages are coming in from individuals checking to see if he's okay, if he's been injured in this drive-by. If it's true that Anthony Williams, who's also sometimes referred to as Sack, and Chris Thomas, who is referred to as Juvie, are really dead. One individual, and specifically, sends out, and I want to quote the message exactly that you will hear, and says, right after this, "Yo, homie, you good? Let me know something." And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is where context matters. What does that mean? If you work at Google and you say, "My whole floor is coding," that's a good thing. If you work at Broward General Hospital and you say, "My whole floor is coding," that is a bad thing. The context around the messages matters. So in the context of this message, this individual is reaching out, asking if Mr. Demons is good, after he's been tagged in multiple social media posts about this drive-through, this shooting. And Mr. Demons responds very succinctly, "I did that." Shh.
Do it talk a lot. Why though you know it get records trying to see what's up. Oh, ain't go and take a nip.
What's good? Now check this out. If you can tell from YMW Melly's lawyer, YMW Melly is not intentionally snitching or ratting, but if your lawyer is saying that Cortland or Bortlen, he basically made up a story and said that it was a drive-by, then that means that YMW Melly, while he's sitting there on the defense side, because he's going up against the prosecution of the state of Florida, then that means that he knows what his lawyer is talking about. Snitching is involved. So that means that YMW Melly is putting the evidence and putting everything on YMW Bortlen or Cortland. He putting all the evidence on the partner, on the friend. He ain't taking no responsibility for it. He's saying that, you know what, all this situation was made up like a story. He's saying that he don't have nothing to do with it. He's saying that basically that's not his lie. That's what YMW Melly's lawyer is saying. He's saying that that's lies. It's not true. It's false. So a lot of people gonna comment, or they're gonna say, "Are you against YMW Melly?" do you think he did the murder? What my opinion is, I believe he did it. You know, I'm on the positive side. I'm on the YMW sack chasing family side. I'm on YMW family juvie side. I'm not on nobody's side that's talking about murder on my mind, and you know what I mean, trying to take their homies out for 500,000. You was gonna get 200,000. Sack chasers was gonna get 200,000, and juvie was gonna get 100,000. All y'all was gonna get a piece of the pie. You feel me? You didn't have to take your partners out to extort them. So this sex chasing situation about him whooping YNW Melly's ass before, 2 days before they was gunned down in a so-called drive-by. A lot of people can get upset and feel like, okay, YMW Melly, he was allegedly charged with 2 attempted murders. He allegedly did a sloppy job doing the crime. He pinned his location. They got Instagram posts. They got everything. They got evidence. She's laying it on the line. The prosecution have laid it on line since day one. Open your eyes and understand it. If y'all think that he gonna beat this, y'all smoking some hella fire ass crack. Check this out. So if you can see in the prosecution, everything YMW Melly and YMW Melly lawyer, they all knew. They sat down before the trial. They knew that they was gonna sit over here and blame YMW Bortlen and say that, you know what, he made up the story. Everything that the prosecution know is lies from YMW Bortlen. So they said that YMW Bortlen, he drove back home with the dead bodies, changed his clothes, drove to the hospital, went to the hospital, told them that his friends was in the car dead, they need help, but they was already dead in the vehicle. So they said that when he talked to the police and investigators and detectives, he made up a story and said, you know what, it was a drive-by. But the way that they did investigation, once they got the vehicle immediately, they can tell that when the bullets was fired into Sack Chaser, into YMW Juvie, they said YMW Juvie, he was shot in his left cheek. So if he was shot in his left cheek, he was shot close range. So now they're talking about YMW Sack Chaser, when he was shot in the head, the way the bullet had exited in and went out, that he was shot from the backseat of the vehicle, which means that the person that shot him was behind the driver. So they was in the left rear. So that's how they know that YMW Melly, where he was sitting there in the vehicle. They know where YMW Melly was sitting in the vehicle because YMW Bortlen had to tell the investigators what was going on. So that's how they made the case and find out that this drive-by was false. So YMW Bortlen, why was it he shot if it was a drive-by? If it was a drive-by, why he didn't have no bullet wounds, no defects, or anything like that? The way that Sack Chaser and Juvie was shot, you know, he should have been shot, but he had no bullets, no defects, none of that. But they did say that he had gun residue on his hands. So tell me this, if YMW Melly didn't do it by himself, then that means that YMW Melly and YMW Bortlen or Cortland, they both took these boys out and made it like, you know, it was a drive-by. But the reason they can't make it look like it was a drive-by because it was a gun up in there, not a gun. It was a shell casing up in there. Anytime it's a drive-by, it ain't gonna be no shell casings all in the vehicle. You know, the shell cases might be around the vehicle, or the shell cases might be up in the street, but they ain't gonna be in the vehicle. So you know what? Something ain't adding up. These boys lying. These boys ain't telling the truth. You know, everybody wanna recommend and love violence and love shooting, but what about YMW Sack Chaser and Juvie family and parents? Look what the hell they going through. You know what I mean? They lost their kids through senseless violence because Y&W Melly wanted to extort them boys because he didn't want them boys to get no money. He didn't want them boys to get none of that 500,000. You know, the only thing them boys were trying to do was market, network, and distribute their brand. They weren't selling their nothing. They weren't trying to give up on Y&W Melly. Y&W Melly gave up on them boys. Took them boys' life. Senseless. Why you want to pray in court? Man, they got so much evidence on you that you know what? You don't know who is finna come out and be a witness to this case. So the only thing I could pretty much tell y'all is to stay tuned. The only thing I'm doing is keeping it real from my perspective and from my opinion. I understand y'all comments and y'all gonna say free Melly, but I'm just like this. Hey, I'm only for what's right. So this your boy Hoghead with the Haters Wheel podcast. Get at your boy. I want y'all to like, subscribe, and comment. You know what I mean? Hey, if he didn't do it, free that boy Melly. Hey, but if he did it, hey, the victim's family, they need justice. Hey, but we're gonna be more off into this case. Get at your boy. Yeah.
Like, subscribe, comment, hit that like button.